Big news from the Treasury and the IRS. On August 27th to 25, they published a primary list of 68 occupations that may qualify for the new tip tax break. If you work on one of these jobs, you could potentially exclude up to $25,000 of tips from federal income tax. And some of the jobs on this list are surprising. Think plumbers, dishwashers, even online creators. In this video, I will break down exactly what the IRS released, who made the list so far, and what you need to know if you earn tips. So let's dive in. So if you want all the background, like how tip income normally gets taxed, you can go back and watch that one. Today, we're just focusing on the brand new preliminary list of occupations the IRS released. So here's what happened. Treasury and the IRS released their first draft, and that's key, first draft list of tipped occupations that would qualify for the new no tax on tips deduction. Now, this list is not final. Public comments are open, and the final version will be published in the Federal Register by October 2nd of 25. But even in draft form, it's already raising eyebrows. Now, the IRS broke the jobs down into categories, and here are some highlights. They did food and beverage, think service, bartenders. They did hospitality, like bellhops, valet attendants, home services. This one surprised me, but I guess it shouldn't have. Plumbers, electricians, landscapers. They did creative and digital, think streamers, podcasters, online influencers. And then there's a category of other trades like tattoo artists, tailors, even shoe repair specialists. But here's what shocked a lot of people, and that was things like dishwashers are on that list. Same with cooks in certain categories. And it's interesting because these aren't jobs you normally think of as tipped, but the IRS included them because they were considered customarily tipped before December 31st of 24. Now stick with me and I'll walk you through more of the list in just a minute. But that 2024 date is also very important, at least in my mind. It lets us know that the IRS is saying, look, you can't go change a job and make it start getting tips now to qualify. It had to be customary before this date. And that's important because I know that's what a lot of people are going to try to do. So keep that in mind before you start listening to somebody that says you can do this. So it's a big date, it's an important concept, but let's keep moving on. Now it's important if you haven't watched my other video, and please go do if this is an important subject to do, but before you start thinking all your tips are suddenly tax-free, here are the key rules you need to know. You can deduct up to $25,000 of qualified tips per year against your federal income tax. There are income limits though, and the phase outs are if you make over 150 single or 300,000 married filing joint, you're going to hit your limits and it's not going to work. And it's only voluntary tips that qualify. So if your boss adds a mandatory service charge to the bill, that doesn't count. Cash and credit card tips are both eligible, but non-cash tips like tickets or goods generally don't qualify. And most importantly, you still owe Social Security and Medicare tax on your tips. This deduction only applies to federal income tax, and I know that's going to trip a lot of people up. Social Security and Medicare tax or self-employment tax is still due, and you have to report this on your tax return. So like I said, if this is going to apply to you after you watch this, please go watch my other videos so I can make sure you understand what's going on here. So what happens now? Well, the IRS will finalize this list by October 2nd. Employers will also start reporting tipped occupations on a new box on the W-2 form beginning with tax year 25. That means workers are going to need to track their tips carefully to make sure they're eligible for the deduction. And keep in mind, this is a temporary tax break. It only applies for years 25 through 28, of course, unless Congress decides to extend it. For that, we're going to have to wait and see. So here's a picture of the list. You can see it right here on the Treasury's website. It's a little hard to find, but if you go out and do a search for the 68 items related to tax-free tips, you should be able to find a link directly to it. It's hard to get there on their website, which is really not a surprise, but let's take a look here. First was beverage and food service. We had bartenders, no surprise there, wait staff, food servers, non-restaurant, dining room and cafeteria attendants, chefs and cooks, food prep workers, fast food counter workers, dishwashers. Here's where we start to see some things. We see dish room worker, we see silverware cleaner, we see cooks, maybe things that you don't normally think about getting tips, but yet they're including it on the list. So that could be a good thing, I suppose. Now we get into entertainment and events. So we've got gambling dealers, gambling change persons, gambling cage workers. None of this is a surprise. You can go through these. I see nothing here that's a big surprise, but dancers, musicians, disc jockeys, entertainers and performers, digital content creators. That one was kind of a surprise, but you can get tips there, so I guess it makes sense. Ushers, lobby attendants, ticket takers, locker room, baggage porters and pillow hops, concierge, hotel, motel, resort desk clerks. So none of this is a surprise. Maids, housekeeping cleaners. Now we get into home services. This one did surprise me, I'm not going to lie, but home maintenance and repair workers, so handyman, roofer, window repair, house painter, just be careful. Don't think you can charge somebody only tips and get away with it. And remember, the cap's only $25,000. Home landscaping and ground workers, that was included. Home electricians, same concept. Home plumbers, home heating and air conditioner, home appliance installers and repairs, home cleaning service workers, locksmiths. So like I said, a lot of these I wasn't really expecting. Maybe I should have, because you do sometimes give a tip to somebody if they come in and they fix something on your house and they charge you. You give them an extra tip. I know I do this sometime because next time something breaks, I want that person to put me at the top of the list and come back. So I should have thought of it, but I'll be honest, it didn't cross my mind. Roadside assistance workers. Now we're on to personal services. So personal care and service workers. So that would be butler, house sitter, personal valets, private event planners. These all make sense. Private event and portrait photographers, private event videographers, event officiants, pet caretakers, tutors, nannies and babysitters. So those all, I guess, make sense. A lot of times I thought of with babysitting, you just pay, but I see where that could come into play. Skin care specialists, so think estheticians, massage therapists, barbers, hairdressers, hairstylists, cosmetologists. But once again, don't think that we're going to get away for long for charging $2 for a haircut and $40 for a tip. So make sure you're careful to not abuse this and not get yourself in trouble. Shampooers, manicurists, pedicurists, eyebrow threading and waxing technicians, makeup artists, exercise trainers and group fitness instructors, tattoo artists and piercers, tailors, shoe and leather workers, and repairers. Then we're on to recreation and instruction. Once again, makes sense. You got your golf caddies, your self-enrichment teachers, recreational and tour pilots. You know, a lot of that money is made from tips, tour guides and escorts, travel guides, sports and recreation instructors, parking and valet attendants, taxi and rideshare drivers and chauffeurs, shuttle drivers, goods delivery people, personal vehicle equipment cleaners, private and charter bus drivers, water, taxi operators and charter boat workers, rickshaw, pedicab, carriage drivers, and home movers. So there's your list of 68. I'm assuming there will be either some movement, some changes, or further clarification. So that list is not in stone yet. So be careful. Don't get too attached to this. But what happens now? Well, right now the IRS will finalize this list by October 2nd. That's what we want to be watching for. Employers will also start reporting tipped occupations on a new box on the W-2 form beginning with tax year 25. That means workers are going to need to track their tips carefully to make sure they're eligible for the deduction. That also means workers are going to want to watch and make sure your employer tracks it accurately, because it's going to be key to you get this deduction. And keep in mind, this is only temporary. It only applies for years 25 through 28 unless Congress decides to extend it, and nobody knows if that's going to happen or not. So with that, what do you think of this preliminary list? Is your job on it? Do you think maybe your job should be on it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you know someone who works in hospitality, food service, or even the trade jobs like plumbing or landscaping, like I said, I wasn't thinking about that one. Share this video with them because they could save $1,000 on their taxes. And make sure you're subscribed, because I'll cover the final list when it drops in October. And there's also a new form on how we're going to take this deduction. That just got a preliminary release, and so I'll be covering that soon as well, and you don't want to miss that update. So once again, subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the near future.